Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Zandile. Thank you once again for all our subscribers who've been watching all our videos and leaving those powerful comments. Thank you so much. And thank you to those who are new subscribers. You are welcome on this channel. And there's one thing I can promise you, that you never be disappointed. You are going to learn so much about God, about families, and also from the mistakes that I've made. You're gonna learn. I believe that prevention is better than cure. So let's go this journey together. Thank you so much, and thank you for the comments, the words of encouragement, the love that I'm receiving. Really, I am really encouraged, and I thank for you guys. I thank God for you guys. Yeah, and also if you are watching this video for the first time, please make sure that you like the video. Please make sure you subscribe, and so that you can reach as many people as we can, and also share with your friends and family. Yes, as I've said, my name is Zandile. Today I'm coming with part 2 of my journey of healing. In part 1, I explained how the healing went about when I had to ask for forgiveness from God, ask God to forgive me, and also forgive myself, forgive my ex-husband, and also forgive my friends. So yeah, it was an intense journey, but healing is a process. It didn't happen in one day. It was gradual. It happened every day. I had to make a decision that I want to heal, because when it comes to healing, you'll have to make a choice. And when you decide to go through healing, you'll have to go to parts of you where you'll feel so vulnerable, and sometimes it's not an easy journey. That's why most people, they end up avoid healing. Yeah, so today I'm going to be talking about my journey of healing part 2, which is the way I had to reconcile with my children and go through the journey of healing. So I've written everything down so that I don't forget important points. So after I had forgiven them, so I had to ask forgiveness from my kids, because I am the one who made the wrong decisions. I made decisions which were that ended up affecting their lives, that affecting their future. So I had to ask forgiveness, and it was very intense. And also I asked them to forgive me for making wrong choices. One of the things that we go through as parents, you don't get a manual of how to become a parent. No one teaches you. You learn along the way, and sometimes you make mistakes along the way, make wrong decisions. But thank God that after you've made those mistakes, you can always recover, and God always help you to pick up the pieces and do better. So I had to ask my kids to forgive me for making wrong choices, and that ended up affecting them. So I think one of the challenges that makes people not to heal, especially when it comes to parents, and you find that sometimes I'll be talking with my daughter and say, her friends, they always say, we love the relationship that we have with your mother. It's such a beautiful relationship, the way you guys connect. And she'll tell them that it was not always like this. We had to have uncomfortable conversations. We did a lot of crying, a lot of take away your ego that I'm a mother, I cannot listen to my to my kids. So it was not that easy. So most parents, they always avoid to have conversations, those uncomfortable conversations with their children. So they believe that because I'm older than you, I cannot ask for forgiveness. But forgiveness is the main thing when it comes to healing. You have to ask forgiveness for those who deserve it. So in this case, my children deserved apology from me. So yes, so after I've asked for forgiveness, yeah, and I asked God to forgive me as well. And yeah, I asked God to forgive me, and that yes, I saw the signs, and the signs were there, but I refuse to pay attention. You know, most of the time when you make mistakes in life, I always tell people that there are always signs, but we choose to ignore the signs and end up falling in a trap of the enemy, because Satan only has one assignment: to kill, to steal, and to destroy, according to John 10:10. So when you decide to ignore the signs, when you decide to ignore the warnings, like when you're driving on the road and you see a sign which says danger, but you still proceed with a high speed, what's going to happen? You're going to be in trouble. You're going to be affected. You're going to get into an accident. There were always warnings, but you decide to ignore them. So that's what happens with God and us. When we decide to ignore the signs are always there, and we decide to ignore them, that's what happens, and we end up paying for those mistakes. So I asked God to forgive me, and also I had to listen to them, how they were feeling, and had to respect their feelings and their opinions. Sometimes, you know, our kids are very smart, and sometimes as children, as parents, it's not easy to accept their opinions or allow to express their feelings, how they feel about things, and they end up they end up keeping everything to themselves, because they know that they are not seen, they are not heard, and we take their feelings for granted. But one of the things, I had to be humble enough as a mother and say, I want to hear how you feel about this, how is it affecting you, and also take their opinion. So that one of the things that I did as a mother, and it really helped a lot, because they were able to express themselves. And that's one thing that I've done with my children. You know, I've got 3 kids, and whenever we are together, I want them to tell me everything. Sometimes I know they are too open. They tell me a whole lot of things, even things that they're not supposed to tell me, but I prefer that, because at least I've created a safe environment for them, where they can be able to express themselves. Because if we as parents are not creating that environment that is safe for our children, where do we think they can be free to express themselves? They can end up expressing themselves to friends, or sharing their feelings to wrong people, and end up putting their lives in danger, and inviting the enemy to have access in them. So it's very important that we create a safe environment, a safe space for them to fully express themselves. So yeah, so that's one of the things that I do as part of the healing as a family. We had to have uncomfortable conversations, I've mentioned, to ensure that they are heard and understood. Yeah, there was a lot of crying, there was a lot of forgiving, it was a whole lot, and it was not an overnight thing, it was a process. There were times where we feel like, yeah, we are going somewhere, and we are like 5 steps ahead, and then sometimes you feel like you take a few steps behind, and there are days where you feel like, I'm not myself, I'm gonna, you go through different emotions, but the most important is to allow yourself and say, why am I feeling like this, and what is triggered me to feel like this, and you talk about that. So it was a lot of talking and crying, and the process, it took a couple of years as we're going through this journey. And also the main thing also, that with the help of God and the Holy Spirit, the main thing that we also did was counseling. We went through counseling, and I remember one of the things that my daughter, especially my big daughter, that she used to go through, she'll have panic attacks. So as a result, she ended up being admitted in a mental hospital. So she was admitted for 3 months, and she was going through counseling, and we had back-to-back counseling, where they would first interview me, they interview her, and then they will put us together, even the father as well. So and it really helped us a lot, because we got to understand each other very well at that time, because she was angry about certain things, I was angry about certain things, how she's reacting towards me, because you understand that I brought this man that ended up hurting her, and I was not aware all the time. So the I finally realized that the reason why she's been misbehaving towards me, and the way she's been talking, it's because of the anger that she's been carrying all this time. So counseling really helped us, and it was so helpful to have those back to back. I think we went for counseling for about 6 months, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's been a while. So, but we went for counseling, and it was intense. Every week, counseling and having interviews. We sit down, and it takes, for healing to take place, it has, you need to be willing. All of you need to be willing. So we had to accept that we are putting the past behind. We are willing to take the journey of healing, so that whatever that had happened in the past doesn't affect our future. We're not taking it to our future. So it is very important as parents that, especially if you are a parent who went through divorce, that you sit down with your kids and ask them, how are they feeling? How are they feeling about the divorce? How is it affecting them? Because most of the time you see our kids misbehaving, and we think they are not being respectful, but because they are trying to express or their feelings, they are responding to the divorce. They are responding to the fights that the parents are having in the house, And most of the time, because now I do a lot of counseling for parents, you find that, or even married women, I counsel them because I share the mistakes that I made and help them to avoid the mistake that I made. So you find that a person says, I'm staying in this marriage because of my kids, and when I ask them, how old are your kids, they're like, oh, my kid is 3 years, or my kid is 10 years, or is 7 years, or whatever age, but they believe they are young. But what is important point that you need to note as a parent is that when children are young, their memory, they remember a lot of things. So if you think about yourself, you remember that when you were 5 years old, there are things that you cannot forget that happened to you when you were 5 years old, that happened when you were 6 years old. So same thing with them. You might think that the arguments in the house, the fights in the house, everything that is happening, even the energy, they can tell, they can feel it, that mom and dad are not in good terms. Mom and dad are fighting, even if they don't exchange words, but the energy, they can feel it, and it's affecting them. It might not show at that time, but later in life, it will affect them, how they make decisions and how they relate with other people. And I was talking to my daughter recently that, one of the things that she said she doesn't want to get married is because of how she saw how I was affected by marriage. So can you see, she's not because she doesn't want to get married, but it's because of her observation. And she said, no, I don't want to live a life like my mother. But she didn't know that there are better marriages, there are healthy marriages, that if you marry the right person, you marry a person that God had prepared for you, you're gonna have a beautiful marriage. So that's why she ended up saying, I don't want to get married, but thank God that she has changed her mind, because she's gone through healing, and yeah, I know that she'll get married one day. So went through counseling, back to back. As I said, we had back to back one-on-ones with the counselors. It was not an easy thing. But by the grace of God, we ended up winning it. It was a process, and every day we'll sit down and we'll be talking. We'll have sessions where we'll sit down and talk, and one of the things that I do as a mother is that I sit down with my kids, and maybe I'll spend time with my daughter, I'll spend time with my son, and we just have conversations, not talking about serious stuff, just connecting with them and getting them how they're feeling. And I believe that it was part of us healing, and also helping us to have a good relationship with them. And one thing I can tell you that, right now, when people see us as a family, they always marvel and say, how did you do it? Your kids are serving God, their kids are loving God. You guys are like a unit, the way you love each other. And I always tell people that it was not always like this. Nothing just happened in life by accident. You need to be intentional, you need to invest in it, and you need to have a vision of what you want to see, the ultimate goal. What is it that you want to see at the end of what you are doing? So everything is work. Relationships are work, marriage, friendships, everything is work. Nothing just happened by mistake. So it's very important that you are intentional about everything. So as I said, it was not an overnight thing. It was a lot of praying, it was a lot of conversations, it was a lot of crying. As I said, that sometimes some days you feel like I'm not myself. Some days you feel like, okay, we're going somewhere with this thing. So it was a journey. And the last part that I want to share, I had to tell my son, because remember, I had 2 kids from my first marriage and then my son in my second marriage, and the person who was molesting my daughters was my son's father. And we had to sit down with him and tell him exactly what's happened. But we just couldn't tell him at a younger age. We had to wait for him until he was much older. When he was about 16, 17, we sat down with him, we told him bits by bits. And one of the things that he did recently, he watched part 1 of this of the video where I was sharing my story. He watched part 1 and part 2, and he came back to me and he said, Mom, I am very proud of you. You told me what my father did to my sisters, but I'm very proud of you. You've been a great mother, and I really appreciate you even for protecting me from my father, because one of the things that I was so intentional about it is to make sure that he doesn't become like his father. I had to do it prayerfully. I had to counsel to disconnect him, from his family, the bloodline, repent for him. I had to do a lot of work, like when he was still young, when he was still like a baby, as he was growing. I would make him to meditate on the word when he was going to preschool, in such a way that from a very young age he used to meditate on scripture, just making sure that his life doesn't go the same direction as his father, because he became the man that he was because of how he was raised. So that ended up affecting his livelihood. So that was one of the things that I had to do with my son, and make sure that I am raising a happy man, I'm raising a healed man, I'm raising a man that will be someone's husband one day and is very happy, and that is safe. I had to create an environment in such a way that I didn't want him to spend time with his father, not because I didn't want him to have access to him, but what normally used to happen when his father takes him for holidays, he'll sleep with a girl while he's with him in the same bed. And when he comes back home, I remember he was still young, about 4 years, he'll come back home and angry. And he'll be like, Mom, I'm very angry. I'm like, why are you so angry? No, my dad was, he'll be telling me what was happening, in his language that he can understand. And that used to hurt me a lot. So that one of the reasons I didn't want him to spend a lot of time with him, that because he was not protecting him, and I didn't want him to be exposed to all those things. So yes, so that's how God helped us to heal as a family. And I must tell you that, what the enemy meant for evil, God will turn it around, for our good. There is nothing that is impossible with God. Our God is a healer. If we take our brokenness, if we take our pains, if we take our hurts, if we take everything bad that has happened to us and we give it to God, God will mend it God will heal our broken hearts. God will put it all together. You know, I always say that broken pieces are useful in the hands of God. So if you've been going through things as a family and you've been struggling to heal as a family, whether forgiving people who have hurt you in the past, or healing as a family, it is possible with God, as long as you make sure that you give it to God, take it to God, make sure that you apply prayer, you include counselors, you do everything that is necessary to make sure that you heal. Because if you left that wound that is open, you cannot move on. To tell you the truth, right now, the woman that I am today, I am completely healed. My kids are completely healed. I know that I'm a healed version of me. And to prove that, the last relationship that I had, because before I began the journey of holiness, I had a relationship that lasted for about 9 months. And the guy said, I've never met a peaceful woman like you. And yeah, that was a proof that really I am completely healed. So yeah, it is possible to heal. It is possible to live a life that is fulfilling, but as long as you allow God to heal you. So thank you so much, family. We've come to the end of our video, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. On the next video, we're going to continue where I'm going to share my journey of how God called me to a life of holiness. It was a journey, it was not easy, and how God called me to live for Him, and until I got to a life of being ordained as a pastor. So please, if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please share with us. Please leave a comment, please like, and also subscribe. We always love to hear from you. From Zandile, thank you so much. Until we meet again, and God bless you.